Congratulations and welcome to the Lovers Chat podcast. You're here with Arena
and Agnesa.
And this is episode 21.
21.
So it's March now, start of spring, and the weather's miserable.
We had a good 2 days where it was really nice.
Yeah.
Spirits were uplifted.
And then they've just plummeted right back down. We're also about 2 weeks and a bit into Lent and Ramadan, so I hope that's going well for everyone.
Do you talk about how it's going for our goals, or do we?
Why don't we?
Wait, did we talk about? We didn't talk about it because it was a while ago. Go ahead.
So for Lent, I gave up caffeine in all forms, so energy drinks, coffee, tea, fizzy drinks, like whatever contains caffeine. First week and a half were actually rough. My head, the head pain was coming up from behind as well as front and center. So that was rough. I miss coffee when Agnes has it in the morning. I miss the smell of it. I miss drinking it. I miss energy drinks. But it's okay. Grateful for what we have, and it's meant to be a challenge, so persevering.
Yeah, definitely a challenge. And I've been overcompensating on caffeine because I've given up sugar. To specify, not like fruits.
Refined sugar.
Yeah, added sugar basically. Not natural sugars. The only sugars I have now are from fruits, dates. Mm-hmm. I still have, everything else. And actually, I would say it's not really been, it has been difficult, but I don't feel rough from it physically. It's been difficult more mentally because I just always crave sweets and stuff, but physically, I feel good, and I think that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Make you feel more energized, make you prioritize the right foods.
Yeah.
So I feel like you've been experiencing more physical
withdrawals.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And if anyone else has given up for anything for Lent, or experiencing more mental clarity during this period, drop it down below. We'd love to hear it. Anyways, this episode, we decided to do a sort of guide on finding the right training style for you, whether that be powerlifting, calisthenics, bodybuilding, CrossFit, HYROX, you name it.
And this was actually your suggestion because we put a poll and got a few responses.
Yeah, so majority wanted this, and we agreed because we thought it'd be fun, and just so you guys kind of get an understanding of what the differences are, what you sort of need. And nowadays, walking into a gym, you see almost everything from people doing muscle ups on the bars, people drop setting with 5 different weights, people taking rest breaks that last for 20 minutes. You see everything, and when you're new, I get that it's kind of daunting when you don't actually understand why people are doing what they're doing, what they're training for, why it looks so different when you come in the gym and you sort of just expect everyone to just be going gym, but there's so much more to it. Quick acknowledgement. We do know that for a lot of people, going to the gym is just, purely to improve their fitness and just to get their exercise in. And this sort of episode is just for the people who want a particular purpose in their training and sort of want to work in a specific
discipline.
Yeah, discipline, specialty of sport. So take this as you will, leave it as you don't. That doesn't make sense, but we'll move nonetheless.
I just wanted to add, I'm hoping this will be helpful for people who also maybe you're at the gym and you're feeling a little like not demotivated, but stuck maybe. Because I definitely felt like this. I started out at the gym and I reached a point where I was just a little bit maybe bored in a way of my training. So I thought I'd just try something new. Yeah, and like Arena mentioned, you can just go to the gym for whatever reasons you want to, and whether it's for like a mental break, clarity, to clear their minds. People go to the gym to clear their minds. I'm just rambling on now. Okay.
For sure. So we thought we'd start this episode just with a few questions that you can use to sort of reflect and have them rolling in the back of your mind as we then go on to each discipline, just so you sort of understand what you want from training, so that you understand what you want to see from your trainings, what you sort of value the most, and what's most important to you regarding training. So as we go through these, you can use the comments to keep a log of your answers. It's great for our engagement. Great for your tracking.
I guess I'm starting. So these are some questions to ask yourself if you're thinking about switching it up. So the first one is, do you prefer structure or variety? Do you prefer having rigid exercises, or would you prefer to do a greater variety?
You don't need to explain the question.
Oh, okay. Good. Because I was struggling.
I hope these questions are relatively straightforward.
They are.
No explanation is needed. So, gonna keep that in because that was an NPC move from her.
Sorry.
Next question. Do you prefer competition or personal progress?
How long do the pauses have to be? You know what? Just pause it if you want to write them down. Yeah. And then replay it so that
the engagement.
Yeah. Do you enjoy technical skill learning? Oh, that was not an either or. Do you enjoy technical skill learning?
How is the questions being this deluded? Are you motivated by performance numbers or physique changes?
Do you want community or independence?
Do you enjoy longer training sessions or shorter training sessions?
Do you enjoy endurance discomfort?
And finally, do you prefer minimal equipment or full gym access? Okay, so now that we've sort of gone over some questions, yes, granted, that's not the most in-depth question. It's just to get yourself in the right mental framework. If you actually want to swap disciplines, go into a discipline just so you can understand, like we said, it's a guide.
Guiding you.
It's a
giving
guide.
You some direction.
And with every guide, you sort of need a warm-up. So that was your mental warm-up. I hope your brain's switched on now and you're listening. There's actually like commotion happening. For each discipline, you can have a brief definition, the key movements, maybe talk about the key movements a bit more, what you need, like the equipment, the advantages, the disadvantages, and just our personal opinions, personal discussions. And I'm going to make each of these a separate clip for us so that up until next month, if you do have a specific interest and you're not wanting to sit through all of them, which is completely valid, but please do, you'll be able to watch the separate clips, and hopefully that will give you some sort of awareness. So we've got calisthenics, which Agnes is going to cover because she specialises in that. We've got streetlifting, which she will also probably cover. Powerlifting, which I'll cover. Weightlifting, yeah, we'll see. CrossFit, we'll see. Bodybuilding, I'm happy to cover that. HYROX, we'll see. And cardio, we'll see. Anyways, we'll see who covers what. I don't know why you needed to know. You'll see in literally like 10 minutes.
Okay, stop rambling.
Calisthenics, take us away.
Okay. Firstly, let's start with what is calisthenics. I'm sure the people who watch this know, because a lot of them we met through
But also
calisthenics.
a lot of people don't actually know. I feel like that's the most like unknown thing.
Yeah, because it's a very developing sport right now, which is getting a lot more traction, I would say, especially online, and which is a really good thing. It's really like building nicely. So what is it? It is essentially a form of exercise that uses strength and skill development through body weight as primary resistance. So some examples of such exercises with body weight would be pull-ups, chin-ups, dips, push-ups, pistol squats, muscle-ups, hanging leg raises, static-based movements. So that includes, for example, handstands, planche, human flag, front and back lever. There's loads more, but they're really advanced and difficult, but insanely impressive. And freestyle, which is on the bars, that's 360s, 180s, plus a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, I feel like calisthenics has sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 main areas almost. I think there's the freestyle, so bar work. Oh no, there's, other than street lifting, because we'll get into that.
Yeah, there's
freestyle, statics, and like reps and like basics.
Those are like the really broad categories, I would say. Also correct us if we're wrong, because we are not.
But I think that's what it is. I think it is also divided by like street lifting and then statics, I think, a lot of the time. And a lot of the time when people do mention calisthenics, it's more so the statics part of things.
Now to discuss what kind of equipment you might need, and this is definitely not a necessity. You can do it. One of the main benefits of calisthenics is that you don't need anything to do it. You could do it, like I could right now just drop down and do some calisthenics.
Give me 20.
No. But a lot of the time, the main piece of equipment would be a pull-up bar, dip bars, parallettes are very helpful and useful. Like I said, not a necessity, but very often used. And rings, which I've personally just started working on.
So, like Agnesa mentioned, probably the main, most important advantage and benefit is the fact that it's so easily accessible to people. You don't need a gym, you don't need equipment. You can literally drop down 20 push-ups. That's calisthenics. You can, like, a wall for a handstand if you want the support, but it's super accessible. There's a lot of calisthenics parks that are free for the public to use as well, so there are places that you can do it. You don't need to be paying as well, so it's definitely one of the only sports within like the gym disciplines that you don't need the actual gym for.
I think right now as well, another really big benefit to calisthenics is the community it's building. Like I mentioned before, calisthenics is really developing a lot more. It's becoming a lot more widespread. It's gaining traction compared to, let's say, a few years ago. And I think that's because of the community, honestly. Everyone is super supportive and uplifting, and it's so motivating to be a part of the calisthenics community. So yeah, it acts as a social
it's like a social aspect.
Yeah.
And everyone's so supportive in the communities as well. Like, everyone supports each other online, and if you need any help, most people are
More than happy to
Yeah.
help. Yeah.
There's also, with calisthenics, you do develop a lot of like relative strength in comparison to your body weight, because obviously you're doing a lot of body weight movements, so you sort of master your own weight, and the way that you can develop your strength is insane. Like, there's so many strong people that these skills are translatable to like weights as well in the gym, and like it's very interchangeable, so it's not like you're going to do calisthenics and you're not going to be able to lift weights. Like, that's not true. And in fact, it's better so that way than the other way. Like, if you go to do weights in the gym, you're not necessarily going to be able to do calisthenics. So it's definitely got that advantage going forward, where you do gain a lot of strength, you can gain a lot of muscle. Like, there are some jacked people in calisthenics. And if you want to, we're going to speak about this next, but there's always street lifting, which is an addition, sort of like an add-on to calisthenics with weights, where you can kind of integrate the two if you're kind of missing out on that sort of aspect.
Yeah. Another really good thing about calisthenics is that it's a lot of the skills are, there's a lot of skill-based progression. So basically it's for all levels. You can be a very beginner but work on the beginner progressions to a more advanced skill, and then as you work on it, just go up by progressions, which I think is, it makes a sport, I feel that's what makes a sport also more accessible to basically anyone. You don't need any, of course it's good to build up the basics, but you don't need any starting point. You can start from nothing.
Yeah, and there's so much variety to it that you don't have to like lift a certain amount of weight to be able to like hit a PB. Like, if you're getting bored of like handstands, you can literally like do another thing one day. And there's so much variety, and there's so many cool things that you could be doing that you're genuinely like, you won't get bored. I feel like.
And I think you also discover what your body is capable of through different calisthenics skills. I think a lot of people underestimate how much they can actually do. Should I give an example? I'll give an example briefly, but when I first started learning calisthenics, for example, an elbow lever, someone might look at it and think, oh, that looks like a really difficult skill, but actually it's, in my opinion, one of the easiest skills. And I literally learned it, I was just in my room one day, literally, this was as I just found out about calisthenics and started thinking about training it. I was just playing around in my room and I just unlocked an elbow lever. Like, it just shows what you're capable of, that if you had never tried, you literally never know you could do something like that. Which is very motivating.
Yeah, for sure. And every second counts in calisthenics. Like, every additional second that
every millisecond
you can hold it, then it's like a PB. Like, there's so much potential for like incremental wins that it makes it a lot more rewarding as well, in a way. I think we should move on to disadvantages just for a bit. There's not many, but like, obviously with everything that's good, there's also going to be some things that might not attract you, and sort of it's not going to be a fit for everyone, and that's completely fine. And that's why we're doing this, is to just help you kind of realize what's better for you, for your personality, for your body type, for just the way that you are wanting to train as well. So do you want to get us started on the drawbacks?
So the one thing I would say is that it requires a lot of patience. And whilst, like I did just mention, you can unlock some things just like that, there are certain skills, especially the more advanced ones, that take ages to unlock. And so yeah, it kind of acts as a barrier, which might demotivate a lot of people, but honestly, like, it's worth it in the end. So it's if you're learning something like planche, for a lot of people, it's a pretty slow process and takes a lot of time.
It's also body weight dependent more than lifting weights is. For example, when you lift weights, typically the heavier you get, the easier it is because mass moves mass. But in calisthenics, when you're doing stuff like statics, pull-ups, when your body weight is the weight that you're lifting, as you get heavier, it gets harder. And how your body weight fluctuates, your training can also, and it can be very confusing at times, I feel like. And also, I feel like when you're heavier, it might take a little while longer than lighter people do take to progress on statics and like endurance. And yeah, when you're lighter, you might need to add more weight as well to yourself, not discrediting, because I feel like there's a lot out there that says, oh, you're lighter, so it's easier, but it's not, because you're lighter, so you have less muscle, so it's not easier. Like relatively, it's all the same. You like, yeah, I can't describe it in any other way, but the sport is just reliant on how much you weigh at that time. So another drawback is that there's limited progressive overload. So for example, when you go into the gym, you can, slowly increase the weight that you're doing to give more stimulus to your muscles. But with calisthenics, like you can add in some more repetitions banded, but it's not as linear, and you're gonna have to find more creative ways of doing so.
I feel like that gives a pretty general overview of calisthenics. For those interested, me personally, I highly recommend. It's my favorite. Leave a comment if you're thinking about starting calisthenics.
Leave a comment which sport you'd like to go into if you wouldn't be in the one you either are now, or if you're just starting out.
So another, as Arena mentioned, it is kind of a subsection of calisthenics in a way. Add-on, yeah, not subsection, yeah. But like related. Anyway, essentially it's weighted calisthenics performed, for example, in a competition. So the key movements are weighted pull-ups, weighted dips, potentially weighted muscle-ups, weighted squats.
Sometimes they have weighted squats. I think it just depends on the federation you're with, where you're competing.
I would say a lot of the ones predominantly I've seen at least are weighted pull-ups, muscle-ups, and dips.
Yeah.
So for equipment wise, I suppose it's kind of an essential unless you're willing to just hold the weight, which would be so hard, or use Arena as a trick. Now, I've seen a lot of people online, so I don't think you invented that. Sorry. Or they copied your idea. Anyway, but you'd probably need a belt, a weighted belt, some plates for the weight, and a bar, dip bar, pull-up bar.
Yeah.
Do you want to discuss some advantages of streetlifting?
Yeah. So with weightlifting, streetlifting. My apologies. We'll get onto weightlifting in a second. It is an add-on to calisthenics, so you're still sort of in the calisthenics sort of area, and you're able to sort of develop your strength in a more linear sort of way, because obviously the more weight you can lift, the stronger you're getting. So it's very straightforward in that sense, as opposed to calisthenics, and it's a good way of measuring progress, especially if you do enjoy that sort of, idea and that way of training where you can clearly see how well you're doing. Another advantage, you could say, if you are one who likes competing, for example, there are different federations, like we mentioned before. So there's some federations have weighted squat. I don't know if it's federations or just organizers, so correct me if I'm wrong, please. But you can do like weighted squats, muscle ups, like whichever way or whichever lifts that you want to do I feel like you'd be able to find a competition and you can actually compete, which I know that that's something that is important to some people, especially when you sort of want to go to the gym for the sake of a purpose rather than just training. Like, you want to see something out of it, and competing sometimes is the way to go forward. I feel like we know less about streetlifting than we do like calisthenics and powerlifting, so some of these might have, less discussion around them, but we're going to give you the best we can from what we sort of know and understand of the sport and the research that we've done. Do we want to move on to drawbacks?
So probably some of the main drawbacks in a way would be that since you're losing weight, you could get a lot of tendon strain from, for example, weighted pulling. It's a big impact on your tendons. You're prone to injury. Not that you're not prone to injury in any other discipline, but you're adding the weight, so it makes it more probable, I guess.
Yeah.
Overuse injuries, again, you're probably training the same kind of movements a lot of the time, so you're more prone to overuse injuries. This one, it depends what category you want to do, what moves you want to do. Often it is pretty upper body dominant, which is why like the stigma comes from that Cali athletes don't train legs.
Maybe that's why they added squats.
And personally, yeah, I prefer training upper body. I despise training legs, but each their own, whatever you want to train. But it can be pretty upper body dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And like Arena mentioned, that's maybe why they added squats. But obviously, if you do them, basically what I'm trying to say is it's a stereotype. Not everyone doesn't train legs. And maybe this one's easier for Arena to explain, giving like a comparison to powerlifting, but perhaps fewer federations and structured pathways, or maybe they're just less known to us.
Yeah.
Simply because we're not really in the streetlifting path, I guess.
Yeah, I think in general there's just less, from what I've seen at least, there's less established competitions that you can actually compete at. Like, there are a lot of organisers, but I don't really know like how linear it is and how much research you need to do in actually understanding the competition.
I actually think there are more than we think. I just think it's because you're, for example, in the powerlifting field and I'm kind of in the calisthenics. Even in calisthenics, I feel like, personally, I don't know if it's just me, I find it pretty hard to find competitions to sign up to. Maybe that's on me that I'm just not looking hard enough.
But what I'm saying, for example, like, I don't know if there's like a British streetlifting federation.
Oh, I think there is.
Okay, so
or something like that.
Lifting. This is squat, bench, deadlift. I feel like a lot of people me, when I started out, I got confused between weightlifting and powerlifting, because for me, it makes more sense for weightlifting to be squat, bench, deadlift, and powerlifting to be snatching like cleans than the other way around. But alas, I don't make the rules. It's the other way around. So powerlifting is SBD, squat, bench, dead. But essentially what you need, as you can imagine, you need a barbell, you need the plates, you need the rack, you need a bench. You usually would need a lifting belt, just because it does help you engage your core. Flatter shoes are usually more helpful because you're able to connect with the ground. Heeled shoes are sometimes used for squats. Knee sleeves, if you need wrist straps, chalk. So yeah, singlet if you want to compete, but that's
chalk is essential for calisthenics.
I feel like chalk is essential for the majority of these, to be honest.
Get the CaliParks one or the CLU one.
CaliParks, honestly, big shout out, but they are the best chalk that I've tried. It's so grippy. I don't know what's put into it. What chemical has been binding these?
Maybe we'll link their Instagram in the bio.
Yeah. We'll also link CLUs for their chalk, and we'll link an Amazon one that we like.
The Amazon one is great as well.
Yeah. It's up there. So with powerlifting, I feel like powerlifting, weightlifting, streetlifting all have this sort of similar benefits. Sorry. Quiet! All have similar all have similar benefits, and all have similar drawbacks, just because they are quite similar within what they actually are, as opposed to some of the other things that we're going to discuss. Because in essence, you're trying to lift the most you can. That is the goal over these three. So some of the advantages are you have clear numbers, like with streetlifting, you can progress. You're progressing, it's just your total or your each individual lift, like how much you can lift. Like it's the stereotypical question of how much do you bench, bro? How much do you squat? What's your deadlift like? It's the answer to those questions, essentially what powerlifting is. So you have a very clear idea of where you are. And there's also, you can rank yourself from like the powerlifting federation regarding your total, your body weight. It is very relative to your body weight as well. I just like to classify. Obviously, if you're heavier than someone, you're expected to lift more because, like we mentioned, mass moves mass. If you're 50 kg, you're not expected to move a weight like someone who is 80 kg, because that would just be honestly impressive. So shout out to those who do. And also, if you're female, you're less likely to lift as much weight as male, just because genetics, testosterone, rate of muscle growth. It's not fair, but it is what it is. Can't make the rules. I can't change your genetics for you. Deal with it. Do you have any? Do you want to add to the advantages?
Yeah, kind of similar to what I was saying before, but sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went to go see a couple of arenas competitions, and as you're doing your lift, everyone is cheering for you to lift it, and it's really encouraging to see. So
yeah, actually,
defo that. I feel like everyone is also really supportive in training, because everyone's kind of going for their own PBs. And I think, because you talked about this as well, in a competition, you kind of already have an idea of where you're at. You know that because you can see other people's weights.
Because you have to, sorry to interrupt, but you have to submit in your starting weight, like your first lift, which I think is the same for weightlifting and streetlifting. Again, if any of this information is just slightly incorrect or completely incorrect, feel free to comment down below, like just to spread awareness as well. But you have to submit your first lift. So as Agnesa was saying, you get to see where everyone's kind of starting off, and you kind of can project, because you typically progress with the same sort of ranges with each lift anyways. For squat and deadlift, like you can increase your weights a bit more on each attempt. And I believe for all three, there's 3 attempts. There's obviously 3 attempts for squat, bench, dead, but I mean, for all 3, powerlifting, streetlifting, and weightlifting, there's 3 attempts. If you guys are interested, we can get into like a breakdown of competitions if you want another episode, but that's only if like one person replies. So
I actually think that would be interesting. So maybe I reply and do it.
Just make a fake account. So if you see an episode like that, it's probably because there's someone in here. So do you want to continue your point? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that already going into it, you kind of already have an idea of your weights that you want to achieve, and that's kind of regardless of everyone else. So in a way, you kind of already, obviously it does differ depending on how you lift, whether you get the lift, fail a lift, but you kind of already know where you're standing amongst the people in your category.
Yeah.
So then that kind of takes the pressure off wanting to beat someone else rather than getting your own PPs. And I think in that way, everyone is really supportive of you and they want you to get your lift.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's not a subjective sport. Like, yeah, you have whether or not you actually hit your lift, but if you can't lift the weight, you can't lift the weight. Like there's nothing you could do in that moment. Whereas like because we did gymnastics, with gymnastics it was different because you could have like been a bit more artistic. Like you could have done a bit better on a spin or something. I'm just making stuff up here at this point, but yeah. However, the drawbacks, deadlifts, I'm pretty sure are one of the most fatiguing lifts that you can do in the gym. Like they fry your central nervous system. You genuinely get exhausted, very fatigued, especially if you're lifting like close to maximal lifts. And although it does strengthen your back if performed incorrectly, if performed correctly, it's healthy. If performed incorrectly, it can damage your spine. Same with squat, like you're loading a lot of weight on your squat, and same with bench, especially if you see the arches. It's so that you can lift as much weight as possible, but you can also injure yourself if you do it incorrectly. So you need a level of technicality, and for that, I think a coach is helpful because it's kind of difficult to figure out on your own or with YouTube because it's not the most replicable of techniques.
Yeah, kind of linking to what you were just saying there, the way you structure your trainings, I feel can be a little bit more complicated in the sense that you've got to know what an RPE is, you've got to know by how much to increase your weight.
Yeah.
I just think it's a little bit more.
I think that's the same with all the lifting.
I guess,
I'm going to group the three lifting, the ones that have lifting on the end, they're grouped as the lifting three.
This is just me, like as you're saying things, I'm getting reminded of it.
Yeah.
Other kind of drawbacks are the movements are pretty repetitive. You're doing 3 exercises, so
yeah,
it's
does
repetitive.
I bench 4 times. Like a lot of people that I know as well who compete in powerlifting bench either 3 or 4 times a week. So if you're not one for repetition, probably not the way for you to go.
Then there's minimal aerobic stimulus. So obviously you're lifting weight. You're not.
It's a stereotype as well.
What?
That powerlifters don't do cardio.
Oh,
it's a massive stereotype, and fair enough. Like it's like the purpose of it is 1 rep for only 3 lifts. Like if you think about it, you're not actually moving very much. Like you're exerting a lot of power, a lot of strength, but you're not actually moving. So
I suppose that's also for it.
It's a different
for powerlifting
stimulus.
For sure, but also if you're in the gym as well, just lifting, you're not moving as someone who would do cardio. Anyway, so
do your cardio regardless. It doesn't have to be much, just move.
For your heart.
Steps. Yeah.
And then of course there's the pressure to make a weight class, which as Arena mentioned before, the amount of weight you move is relative to, as in when it's being calculated, is relative to your body weight. So there are different weight classes, and of course that can put a lot of pressure on, especially with like food, weighing yourself. There comes it's pretty.
A lot of weight class sports have their own drawbacks, and we do talk about it in some of our other episodes. We do want to do an episode on like weight class and weight and eating in sports, as well as the nutrition side of things. The last of the liftings, because I feel like just to give it a conclusion, it's been dropped here and there. Weightlifting, not the same as powerlifting. It's more of an explosive lift of bar overhead. You've got the snatch, which is literally from the floor right to above your head. And then you've got the clean and jerk, which kind of has a little movement in between. So you like prop the bar up there and then over your head. What you need, similar to powerlifting and streetlifting, you need barbells, bumper plates, because your powerlifting plates are actually really, really thin, and if you drop them on the floor, not great. But bumper plates have a larger surface area, so the weight distributes a bit more evenly and it's just a bit safer. And I'm pretty sure they like bounce up. So they're not like dangerous if they fall. Well, they are dangerous as weight, but not as dangerous. Sidetrack. Platform, usually just like a flat surface, and shoes, a lot of people wear heeled shoes or weightlifting shoes. They just help with distribution of how your foot pressure is, and it just depends on your anatomy in essence. So one key advantage of this, actually, out of everything here, I believe it's the only Olympic sport. So if you do have that goal of getting to the Olympics sometime, you got this. We believe in you. But weightlifting is where you want to be at, especially if it's a gym style discipline, because it's got the most awareness around it. I want to say it's got the most information, the most competitions, the most progressions. So it's very transparent in that sense, because obviously if you're going to the Olympics, like there's a lot of routes forward. So I'd say that's the main advantage to it.
It is also, it develops your explosive power strength a lot, which again, it just depends what you want to achieve. But obviously I don't want to get this wrong, so I want to demonstrate the movements, but the snatch, like, it's very power.
Yeah.
It needs to be explosive.
You need to literally bring the weight from the floor to above your head in one movement,
which is pretty intense. There's a lot of technical mastery. So if you're looking to become a master of technical skills, and it does demand mobility and coordination. So obviously all of these do that we discussed. Mobility is very important, but if we're outlining like key points for this one, you got, again, I don't know how it works, so I can't really comment, but you got squat pretty low.
Yeah.
You got have like really
your shoulder mobility. Also, like, you're meant to be holding my shoulder mobility is not great. No, it's actually great as a cracked. You need to be holding a weight above your head.
Yeah.
And you need to be comfortable. Like, you can't really be immobile and stiff, because it's not going to benefit you. And
also, I can imagine for coordination, I can imagine that it's all about timing, really. You miss it by
it's like muscle ups. Like, you need to use the momentum.
But like, say when the weight's up here and when you like lift it up, it's got to be so precise.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
Sounds pretty fun, actually.
That is, I do want to give it a go. I do want to try weightlifting. But no, I totally agree. And it also, that point can be seen as a drawback. Like, if you're not as coordinated, maybe your mobility is not the best, it might just be an extra barrier that you need to overcome. Not saying that you can't overcome it. It's just something that, needs to be thought about if you do get into it, which is why we did kind of ask the question before, just so that you can get an idea. It also, I think, a lot of these, especially if you are competing, do you require a coach, especially with something so technical as snatches and clean and jerks, because there's so many things that you need to think about, so many things that you're impacting as you do the movement, that having someone there to actually explain it, who's been through it, is also really important. I just wanted to add another advantage. Similar to powerlifting, the community is really, really great. I feel like it's the same in all of these. Once you find the community, they're incredible and everyone's rooting for you. And I feel like it's not the most Like, it's competitive, yes, but it's not bitter and toxic. Do you have any more disadvantages for weightlifting?
Disadvantages? Did you mention injury?
No, I didn't.
So obviously you're lifting weights. So again, if you do it incorrectly, as we mentioned, this is pretty technical. So if it is done incorrectly, I would say there's a pretty high injury risk. Like there's a lot that could go wrong. So be very careful with it. We mentioned mobility demanding, and obviously it's pretty technical. So coaching. I think I speak on behalf of both of us. We don't know much about it.
No, I think this is the one that I know the least about.
So what it is, it's a mixed mode of training across strength, gymnastics, and conditioning. I'm sure you've seen videos online of people.
A lot of people take the piss out of CrossFit, and I don't think that's justified because
absolutely not. Yeah,
it's like it's almost like cheating, but it's not. It's just a different way of training. Just like a lot of people think that benching in powerlifting is cheating. In some way, yes, but it's not cheating if the goal is to lift the most. It's not cheating if the goal of CrossFit is conditioning or like speed. I don't actually know that. What is the goal of CrossFit? I'm gonna.
Okay, but I'll carry on. A lot of people have a lot to say about it, but personally, I think like it's extremely beneficial. You become very athletic. Let's go through some of the key movements. You've got squats, deadlifts, press. What is this Ollie lifts?
Olympic lifts, so the weightlifting lifts.
Okay, sorry, that was just fun. Pull-ups, total. It says ups here, but this pull-ups. Total bars, muscle-ups, handstand push-ups, rowing, the ski machine, running, assault bike. Bike.
No, but the assault bike,
that one.
Yeah, it's a lot. The goal is high intensity workouts, which is why obviously you want to be doing the movements quicker, and it's just athleticism.
That's what I think. It's very, very beneficial. You become like, it's pretty hybrid, I think.
Yeah. It's just you're doing everything. You're doing your cardio, you're doing your lifting, you're doing calisthenics because you're doing like muscle ups and stuff. So
for sure.
It's a combination of everything at a very intense. I was going to say intensity, but an intense level.
And I suppose in a way this would require you some more equipment. It's pretty hard to do CrossFit without a CrossFit gym, or at least a gym that has machines. For example, ski machine, the assault bike. You're gonna need some barbell rigs, cardio machines, obviously, unless you want to go for a little sprint outside. Obviously, as we've mentioned, it's extremely varied. You get basically every aspect of it in. Trains multiple physical qualities. You're lifting, you're doing your cardio. I'm not going to repeat it again.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. Yeah. Essentially. And it's similar to calisthenics actually, where you're not going to get bored. Like, I'm pretty sure the exercise that you don't do for a very long time. Yes, it is repetitive just to progress, but there's so many things that you can be doing that you're not going to get bored in your session.
And again, there's a very strong community, as we mentioned, in all of these. So you've got people motivating you, uplifting you, rooting for you. And what I think is also really good is that there's competition for all levels. So whether you're just starting out, obviously you got to practice a little bit, but let's say you're a beginner, but you're thinking of signing up to a competition, you think it might be fun, which it is. There's competition for all levels. Yeah,
for sure. Some of the potential drawbacks is recovery is going to be rough because you're doing so much high intensity as well. Especially for females, it does put a lot of stress on your body, so you need to make sure that your recovery is like top notch. And that isn't to say that your recovery shouldn't be top notch regardless of what you're training. It's just for CrossFit because there's so much going on. Your body is literally doing everything and more that you're going to need to want to recover a lot better. It's harder to specialize as well. You kind of just have to be a jack of all trades rather than a master of one. So I feel like it can get quite like unnerving when you don't have like one thing that you're good at, where you have to just be good across it to be competitive. Do you have any more?
Disadvantages?
Yes.
So obviously, because you're going to need access to a lot of equipment, it might be a higher cost for you to train somewhere. For example, a CrossFit gym is probably going to be a little bit more spenny than like your local gym. So bear that in mind. Obviously, there are ways to work around it. We have people at our local Pure Gym who train CrossFit. There are ways to go about it, but we're thinking like not every Pure Gym has.
Yeah, some Pure Gyms are very small.
Yeah, you know, just bear that in mind if you're considering it. Yeah.
Cool. Moving on to bodybuilding.
Wait, did you find what you were looking for? What is the point of CrossFit?
It says high intensity.
Oh yeah, we kind of mentioned that.
Yeah, bodybuilding, it's typically what you would think when you walk into a gym, right? It's what you think of when you think of the gym, in my opinion. It's essentially lifting weights so that you look good. It is very physique focused because you're building your body, as the name states, and there's a lot of hypertrophy as opposed to lifting as much as you can. Yes, like you're going to gain strength, but the main purpose is to build your muscles how you want them to look, like build your glutes, build your abs, build your biceps, build your back. It's very focused on aesthetics. Key movements, there's not really specific key movements for this. It's more just compounds and isolation movements with weights. Also, body weight movements like push-ups, pull-ups are very beneficial for bodybuilders as well. But I think a lot of the time when you see like people doing weirder exercises, like very specific exercises, they are competitive in bodybuilding or are very knowledgeable and are training a very small muscle that is often neglected in like compound movements. What you need is typically a gym. Machines, dumbbells, weights, barbells, cables, whatever, the whole lot. You can train outside. I know a lot of gyms that are outside do have some dumbbells there as well that you can train with. Probably not gonna get the most incredible workout or most incredible pump, because I feel like bodybuilders do chase the pump. But if that's the goal, then there are ways that you can do it. Advantages is, I would say one, and then you can do the rest, is that there's lower central nervous system fatigue, a lot less. Like you're not pushing to your very max. Yes, you're pushing to failure, but it's on exercises that aren't as compound as like a deadlift, squat. Bench isn't that fatiguing, but you can push to failure and still be okay, because also you're not training your full body every single day. Please don't do that if you're training like 6 times a week. If you're training anywhere from 4 to 6 times a week, don't train full body like that. Just train. You can even do upper lower, it doesn't matter. Like there are loads of different, there's the bro split, Arnold split, push pull legs. Specific muscles, typically rule of thumb is each muscle twice a week. So you can do back and biceps, then next day quads, whatever. There's more information on that. More than happy to do a whole episode on that. I love bodybuilding. Like if I wouldn't do competitive powerlifting, I still kind of bodybuild as well. I'd like to say there's like a term that's power building. That's what I like to do. It's literally obsessed with it. Agnesa knows, like I literally watch bodybuilding. That's all I watch on YouTube is bodybuilders. So, but yeah, sorry, and more advantages.
So obviously this one builds a lot of like aesthetics. you basically, especially if you're doing competitive bodybuilding, it's pretty much all about aesthetics.
Mhm.
Another advantage is that you've got a lot of choice of exercises to
Mhm.
do. Like Arena mentioned, building different body parts, some more neglected muscles, gives you a lot of variety for exercises.
Especially if you're injured, actually.
Yeah. And another benefit, also kind of relating to aesthetics, but you can visually see your progress because you are training for aesthetics a lot of the times.
Some of the drawbacks are it's a very mental game, especially if you are doing it competitively. Now, all of these are a mental game, don't get me wrong, but I feel like bodybuilding more so because you have to either force feed, like there's a lot of discipline around food more so than other sports where food is more so seen as fuel. Here, food is seen as a method of getting to where you want to be. So you're either cutting, bulking, maintaining, and sometimes you get to a point where you're on very low food, you're doing a bunch of cardio because you want to lose your fat. So it can become a very mental game, and you do need a lot of discipline, and you need discipline in every aspect. But I feel like here it becomes more mental discipline than anything.
As Arena kind of briefly touched on, like body image, it raises a bunch of issues, challenges, like as you can imagine. We won't go into too depth right now, but perhaps in the future. Another kind of disadvantage is that it doesn't really prioritize speed or power. So it's, for example, whereas CrossFit, you're like becoming very athletic. Here, you're not. You could be doing cardio for your like cutting, let's say, but it's not really part of the training plan.
Yeah. Well, it is part
It
of the
is,
training.
but like as in,
it's not for endurance, it's for fat loss.
yeah. And yeah, we already mentioned that it requires consistency, discipline, especially regarding getting to the specific aesthetic physique that you are trying to achieve. So kind of coming to the end of our selected choices. There are obviously more, but we chose these few. But you've got HYROX, which is also becoming a lot more popular now. I would say over the last couple of years.
Doesn't it stand for hybrid rock star? Or is that just a lie been told on social media?
I've heard that too. So
I think it's quite funny.
Got to fact check that. It is pretty funny though.
Yeah.
And essentially what it is a standardized hybrid fitness race, so hybrid athlete. You've got some key movements. You've got like 8 1 kilometer runs
in between each station.
In between the stations, ski urge,
the ski
machine, sled push, sled pull, burpee broad jumps, rows, farmer's carry.
Yeah.
Farmer's carry.
Yeah, where you hold 2 rows.
Yeah, I just didn't know grammatically. Right. Sandbag lunges and wall throws. This one's pretty equipment heavy, as you can imagine. You got to have access to a sled, sandbags, weights, the ski machine. So yeah, perhaps if you're thinking of competing it, you might have to get a membership for a gym that has that.
I think a lot of gyms, not a lot, but some gyms nowadays have been introducing HYROX areas and HYROX equipment. So have a look out for it. Some of the advantages here is that it's a competition, like it's very well known. You can just apply, you don't really need to qualify for anything, like you can just do it. You can do it with, there's partners, there's like pairs, and then singles. So you could do it with someone, you could do it with your friend. It can be a good fun activity to do if you want to. And yeah, it's accessible to the general population.
Kind of a structured endurance challenge. It's definitely not easy. So if you're thinking of signing up for fun, like expect it to be hard. It's got a high caloric output. So if you're looking to like really do some high intensity training, similar to kind of CrossFit in a way, like you're doing a lot. And obviously the fact that you're kind of becoming a hybrid athlete in the process, you're doing running, not weightlifting, but like lifting.
You're doing a lot of exercises, yeah. It's growing like calisthenics quite quickly. It's becoming a lot more known, and I believe there's more and more competitions in places. I don't know how many times a year they happen, but like you see it on everyone's stories, like almost every weekend that there's a HYROX race. However, it is very time intensive because you're doing so much. I think, I don't quote me on this, but the average time to complete it is over an hour, all of it. So if you're training for that, you're going to need energy for the whole hour of working out, like at very, very high intensities. So prepare yourself if you want to do it. Anymore.
But to be honest, it looks really fun, and I
really
would like to do one. Probs not right now, but might sign up on a whim. Yeah. So comment down below if you want to see us do a HYROX doubles.
Yeah, and we can vlog it.
Advantage. No, actually, I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say if we just raw dog it without training, but I personally don't think that's the best option.
I think that's quite fun though.
It's quite funny. Maybe we'll raw dog one and then train for another and compare.
Yeah, that'll be quite good actually.
We'll vlog both for sure. Maybe we'll post it on this channel. The Lovers Chat, take on HYROX.
Take on HYROX, but also the power of preparation. We'll do a case study for a field trip. Maybe we'll go fund our tickets.
Yeah, apparently that's another actually.
They're getting more expensive.
It's pretty expensive to sign up to a HYROX, so bear that in mind. As we go into swiftly move into disadvantages, it's expensive. Gym, HYROX outfit, like tickets for signing up. Bear that in mind.
Finally, we have cardio. Pretty sure all of you know what that is. There's running, cycling, swimming, rowing, what have you, bike, yada, 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 like loads. Just want to preface the importance of cardio, guys. Please, it's not just for your fitness, it's also for your heart health. And it does help with endorphins and dopamine. Yes, I believe they're the two of the four that it benefits. Obviously, it benefits all four happy hormones, but it helps a lot with your mood and just general fitness. Movement is so important, especially nowadays when remote life is such a norm. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be intense. You can do low intensity, steady state. You don't have to be sprinting, you don't have to be running marathons for it to be cardio. It's just important. I think that's covering the advantages, to be honest.
It's very accessible. You can take a walk, you can go for a run, wherever. You can skip with a rope.
Skipping's really fun, even without a rope.
For some, just be careful when you're doing it. Obviously, you're not going to go for a 10K if you've never run before. You're not going to sprint it. Props to you if you manage to. That's pretty crazy. Try not to injure yourself. Don't ease yourself into it if you're just starting out. And maybe we keep saying maybe we do this in a future episode, but genuinely, maybe we talk about the stigma of losing muscle whilst running. And finding a balance between lifting, because lifting is very important.
Yes, lifting is extremely important.
Bone health, many other reasons.
Metabolism, literally muscle mass, muscle mass helps you with longevity. There's so many benefits to it.
Yeah, but bear in mind that a lot of cardio does burn a lot of calories. Therefore,
you need to be fueling correctly, guys.
But that's just a
little overview. There's not if you are taking cardio seriously, like marathon running and stuff, there are obviously like disadvantages to that, but we're not really going to get into that because that's not quite what this episode was meant to be. But we hope that this has been somewhat helpful and somewhat eye-opening as to what there is out there. And comment down below if there's anyone that you want to try or you've tried before and you didn't like. Any corrections, please correct us. Yeah.
Leave a nice comment too.
Yeah. Engage. Anyways.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next month. Have a lovely start of your spring. Hopefully the weather improves.
Yes.
And your mood improves.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Bye, Munchkins.
Bye, Munchkins.